Alright, guys, I just watched Supergirl, and here are my quick thoughts. Very fast. Pros and cons. Making it quick. Pros and cons quickly. Pros: the casting of Supergirl. It was actually a slight pro. I still have a slight issue with it, but there were a couple of shots in this film that told you she was Supergirl, and that did enough for me. Lobo, huge pro. You could tell he had so much fun playing his character, like you have no idea. And another pro, I have to admit, it has to be the soundtrack was a pro, and the way her own story as Supergirl was told was also a pro because it's that's very important to tell. That's very important to show to the audience her own origin story, how she was brought to Earth, her own family, her own planet, what Krypton was like, and they did a good job with that part. Cons: the villain was a huge con. Like if this was a Marvel film, he would be a side character as a villain or of any whatever side he's on. He will be a side character, 100%. He had almost no motive on doing what he was doing, and he just seemed like the opposite of Lobo. He was just doing whatever he wanted to for the fun of it, and unfortunately, it was just bad things. He had almost no reasoning to do what he was doing, and the way he was introduced, it was out of nowhere, random. I don't know. I like the villain was trash, and he was just so unserious in so many moments. I also like how Crypto really carries the emotional weight of this film and is the pure motivation for what Karo Zor-El does in this entire movie. It's basically, you guys know in the trailers, he gets poisoned, and this whole entire movie is just her action and adventure filled journey on getting the antidote to cure the dog. And the dog is really the emotional weight of this whole entire movie, and that's what motivates her to do what she does. And there is one certain scene that finally makes her break free, and it has me taking her seriously finally as Supergirl. But yeah, clearly this film it's more, it leans more in the emotional side of things. It's obviously filled with action, adventure, humor, of course, maybe a little bit too much humor. And again, if you have Lobo as side character in a Supergirl film as my standout, that's a small problem when you have Supergirl as the main character, and this is called Supergirl, not Supergirl and Lobo. If Lobo is my main standout, that's a small problem for a title like Supergirl. But it just tells you how much fun Momoa had as Lobo, because again, he was made for his character. Aquaman, I'm not sure about, but Lobo, I really want to see more of him. Bottom line, as a grade, I'm giving it a B minus. You guys know me; I'm very positive when it comes to movies, and the fact that this was supposed to be one of the biggest films of the year, a DC film, the only DC film of the year, Supergirl. And if you have me giving this a lower than an A grade, almost lower than a B minus, says a lot. And this actually has me critiquing it rather than praising the film, which is actually a first for me. But yeah, guys, this film comes out, as you can see, on the 26th. If you love action, humor, an emotional story, and guys, this is her origin story, while really taking us on a journey of her trying to save her dog, which I think is a pretty nice story. It's definitely an emotional one, but again, this wasn't one of the best superhero films I've seen in my life. So go in open minded for sure. Also, one other major con I have to mention is that this film gives you way too much Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, and that's a trilogy franchise for Marvel. Supergirl's a film for DC. You don't want the DC film to give vibes of a whole different franchise, a whole different other company like Marvel. You want this film to feel like Supergirl and her own origin story. But this film, because the makeup, the costumes, the soundtrack, the editing, the camera directing, all that gives you way too much Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, and that to me was one huge problem as well. But other than that, it's a fine film, B minus. Go see the field of action movies or DC films, but it's not a film I would rewatch again, in my opinion.